So find a business case and make an impact. So rather than trying to tackle 10 of your people processes and build an AI framework around it, pick the one where there's the biggest return on investment. And we know our people, our team members in store, their interactions with the customer or the quality of the coffee they make is integral to the success of our company. Getting the recruitment right, getting the right behaviors is definitely where we put the business case for the AI change.
Welcome to a new episode of the What Works podcast series. Kathy Nderi sits down with David Hughes, Global Talent Director at Costa Coffee, about their journey using AI to reinvent how they hire frontline workers. David shares how Costa is finding the right people among hundreds of thousands of applicants by looking for behavioral fit instead of resumes, and why getting candidate experience right matters more than ever. Let's get to it.
David, welcome to the What Works podcast.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for talking with me. I'm really looking forward to exploring with you what you're doing with AI and supporting frontline hiring. But before we get into all of that, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your company.
So I'm David Hughes. I'm the Global Talent Director for Costa Coffee. Costa Coffee are a global coffee company operating across 50 markets now. Our home market here in the UK, we have over 2,000 stores and employ about 16,000 people. So we are part of the Coca-Cola company. They acquired us from Whitbread a few years ago, and they've been helping us on our journey to expand into new markets and new territories. And it's a very exciting growth journey and one that we're all pleased to be part of.
Love it. I used to live in London and I always loved Costa Coffees when I was there. Every time I go back to the UK, I always go there. So really good brand and really good coffee as well. So being such a big retail company, of course, there's lots of challenges. I mean, you have high turnover, right? You probably have to hire lots and lots of people. What's your talent challenges in this segment?
So if I talk specifically about frontline, so for us it's baristas, we hire about 5,000 people per year, of which we probably get about 250,000 applicants. So we're quite high volume hiring and probably one of the biggest employers in the UK, which my team look after. I think with any sector like this, whether it's retail or hospitality, you've got to expect turnover. You know, and most companies, most big brands will sit between 30 and 60% turnover. So there's constant talent challenges, constant turnover, and constant need to hire brilliant talent. I think what we've learned over recent years is to remove the focus on hiring top talent and much more into relevant talent. So I think it's a bit of a myth when you talk about let's go and hire the best of the best in the market. That may be true, but how does that fit into your company's morals, values, and culture? What we needed to do through assessment is find relevancy and find fit to firstly interact better with our customers and secondly build careers here at Costa.
I love that. So it's really not about the best talent, but the best fit for you. I think there's a really good way of thinking about it because sometimes we hear, we have to hire the best and the brightest and all of that. But top talent is really depends on who you are as a company and what your values are, what your company is.
But I think what's worth mentioning is, especially in a service-driven environment where you're interacting with customers and consumers, you know, customers want a friendly face, especially in the community stores, which they maybe go into most days. And therefore, turnover is really important to maintain and to control. We can't always hire the best of the best of the best. That maybe not fit to our culture or our values. We need to hire people that live and breathe Costa as a culture and can interact with the consumers day after day after day, because that will drive NPS, which drives sales and just builds a better business for the customers and for the team.
It's so key to think about the front line, even specifically to not just hire bodies, right? Not just hire people that can come in and do the job, because they're really carrying your brand. I mean, they are your brand ambassadors. They're closest to the customer.
I think when we talk about this more about the behavior fit is everything for us at the minute. So hiring on, them softer skills and communication and teamwork, etc., is much more important for us than just one's experience and CV. It is worth noting, and it would apply to many of our competitors, for the frontline roles, candidates that are in the market for vacancies may apply for 7 or 8 roles all at the same time. It's different at the more senior level in the head office where you're targeting one particular role that you think is right for you. In frontline, you may look at 3 or 4 different businesses or even sectors and apply for a lot of them. So being able to narrow that field down to people that are right for you, it is hard. This is where AI comes into play.
So how do you know what's right for you? What is the right fit for you? What are the behaviors that are really right for your company?
So I think it's a combination. So if I start with our values, we're proud of our values. They've evolved a little bit over the last couple of years, but for all intents and purposes, they're very similar, and they're part of our culture, part of our DNA, it's part of who we are, and we're trying to build that and maintain it as we grow, especially globally. But secondary, we have to look at the behaviors which we know works for a frontline team member. So how do they interact with the customer? How do they interact with one another? Because in any store, there's maybe 3, 4, 10 people. They have to work together like a really effective unit. And that's born out of behaviors, not about experience. So I think that how they work as a team is the kind of success rate of that store. It's behaviors over experience every time.
And also over skills, right? Because technical skills are not that important, right? You can probably train them pretty easily on how to make the coffee, I would imagine. And you probably prefer that anyway, because even if they've worked in a different chain, you probably are a different brand, it's probably different process, right? So probably the skills are not that important either, I would imagine.
I mean, I don't want to say I'm biased, but Costa make the best coffee in the world. It's not easy to be a barista, and I should say that. We put them through amazing training to learn to make these coffees, flat whites, cortados, cappuccinos. They go through a lot of training to make the very best. But they're skills you can teach. Whether it takes you a month or 6 months, you'll get there. Them softer skills, morals, teamwork, communication, they're so important. They're not things you can train overnight. A lot of the time you either got it or you haven't. And that's what we will look for when we're sifting through, great talent.
So how do you sift through all that talent? So you have 250,000 to 300 applications a year. And obviously you probably don't have that many recruiters. How do you do that?
So I talked a bit about the journey we've been on, and I've been at Costa for 5 years now. And when I came in, we had no assessment, so it was purely based down on a CV review and then a hiring manager or store manager interview, so littered with inconsistencies and biases. We then brought in our first assessment provider, and that focused a lot more on situational judgment tests. So in this situation, what would you do? And actually, for the early stages, that was helpful for us because we went from no assessment to a more robust assessment. What we found over the years, though, is, again, we allowed a bit more bias and inconsistency to creep in. And it focused a bit more on the skills than the experience and the behaviors which we needed. Therefore, we went to market to look for a new innovative and AI tool. And thankfully, we came across Sapia, Australian company who's working with some amazing brands already. And we wanted to be one of the first to bring them to the UK. So we went on a long journey with them to do the research and to build out some competency models and chat-based interviews. And we are super confident with our end product now. So every single one of them, 250,000 applicants, goes through the Sapia chat interview. And it's the easiest conversation you'll ever have. It's 5 simple questions, which you can either text type or talk into your phone, and then the magic happens behind the scenes. We've mapped in our competencies and our behaviors into the Sapia process, and it pulls from the AI and the algorithms to kick out a score, which essentially is a fit with Costa score. It's not what's your CV, what's your experience. It's how do you fit to Costa, and that's been the game changer for us.
So basically, every single one of these 250,000 to 300,000 people get a chat-based kind of assessment, right? And it takes, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Not even that.
Not even that.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes, they go through that. It's probably not like tedious. It's probably nice to do. It probably also speaks different languages, I'd imagine, too, right? I mean, if it's AI-based.
So simplicity is one of the key bits here. So as I said, five questions. You can text into your phone. You can talk into your phone. I think about 60% of people do it on mobile. So it's on the go and it's super easy. And they're quite generic questions. What do you think you will bring to Costa? It's the easiest open question you can ask. But where they go with that, we plugged all of our behaviors into. We want to see people talk about collaboration and multitasking and teamwork. So the AI does the solutioning in the background that you need an army of recruiters to sift through, and it's not possible.
Absolutely. I mean, the volume that you can accommodate, but then also the candidate experience, right? Because the candidates get feedback, basically. They get how they performed on that and how good the fit was. And it's not good or bad thing about them. It's just about fit with Costa, right?
Yeah, so candidate experience actually was one of the key business cases for change here. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that everyone went through a fair, consistent, and almost innovative experience. I think part of the reason for this is, of all the applicants we get, nearly all of them will also enjoy a latte or a cappuccino at Costa. They are consumers as well. We have to give them the right experience. Now, one of the beauties of working with AI is what we can give back to the candidate. So every single one of them applicants gets a personalized insight report about how they did, what are their strengths, and what are their opportunities. So in a world where people are applying for jobs and getting nothing back, and we hear it all over LinkedIn and social media about being ghosted, in the Costa process, they're going to bespoke 2-page report. Here's how you did. Here's where we think your strengths are. Here's some opportunities. So giving them something back, almost thanks for taking the time or 10 minutes to apply for it. And in return, we'll give you this. And it's gone down incredibly well. The NPS at the minute on the interview is 9 out of 10. So 9 positive responses to out of every 10. It's amazing. Assessments naturally are, that was a bit tedious, that took a while. What we're hearing is that was simple, and wow, I got something back as well.
Wow, and it's amazing because most of the people didn't get the job, and still they said this was a good experience. I enjoyed it. It was simple, and I got something back, and it was worth my time probably, right? Because they invest 10 minutes of time, and then they get a 2-page summary back. So people always like learning about themselves as well.
Indeed. There's definitely something about self-exploration, especially in frontline where maybe this is the first job or so they're applying for, so they're not used to getting feedback. The addition on this I think is worth noting is, we're here in the UK, a lot of the baristas we employ would fall in the Gen Z camp. I think between 18 and 24 we looked at. Now that's a generation which are much more comfortable with AI and technology than my generation would have been. If anything, they expect it. So they're going through these processes and they're looking for, where's the innovation, where's the digital agenda? Because this is their first interaction with Costa as a brand. We want it to be a positive one. We want them to go, wow, Costa are embracing the use of AI. That positive sentiment is felt throughout the whole experience.
What was difficult about this whole journey? Was anything that was challenging or difficult?
So I think twofold. I mean, firstly, it's the first time we really embraced AI and brought it into Costa, there was a lot of people that needed to be involved in that, and for all the right reasons. So we worked with our talent teams, the legal teams, the tax teams, anyone that had a vested interest in making sure we went through the right process was part of the project, the data teams in particular. So it took a while, longer than we thought actually, to go from start to finish. From first conversation with Zapier to implementation, it took longer because we hadn't prepared ourselves properly to align all the stakeholders we needed. We know for next time what a process should look like. The first time you do this, my advice is just be patient and have a little bit more time on your side. Secondly, it was the adoption. So whilst we built this really efficient and innovative process, which candidates are saying they love going through, store managers who do a lot of the back end of the process to the face-to-face is new for them. And we have to get them on the journey of, why are we bringing AI in? What does it give you? What does it give the candidate? And you don't flick a light switch and see this play through. You've got to just take your time and go through the stages. And I use this word again, but patience is really important right now. Not everybody adopts AI at the same pace, but being patient and respectful of people's journeys and change curves is super important.
So, David, this is what you just said really reminded me of a couple of things. So the first thing was, it was very easy for the candidates, you said, because they are actually, the younger generation, actually looking for you to innovate and to use the AI tools. But the manager needed a little bit more support. They needed a little bit more opportunity also to voice their concerns probably on all of that. So that change aspect, really, really important. The other thing that I also thought was interesting is you said this was the first time that Costa Coffee was using AI overall. Is that right? Or is it in the HR area?
No, in the HR talent space.
In the HR area. Okay. So you probably used it in other areas as well.
Yeah.
But in HR, yeah, it's, in HR, I think is always challenging, of course, because you have really high stakes kind of interactions, right? If somebody gets a job or doesn't get a job, it's a big consideration.
So I think it's a bit of a strange time at the minute, because if you go to a lot of networking events or you talk to your peers, straight away they want to know, what's your AI roadmap for the future, or what are you doing in the next few years? And it's so easy to look at your entire end-to-end process and think, well, let's AI this, 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 and this. What I've learned is AI has to be purposeful. So find a business case and make an impact. So rather than trying to tackle 10 of your people processes and build an AI framework around it, pick the one where there's the biggest return on investment. And we know our people, our team members in store, their interactions with the customer or the quality of the coffee they make is integral to the success of our company. Getting the recruitment right, getting the right behaviors is definitely where we put the business case for the AI change.
I love that. We call this falling in love with the problem, not falling in love with the solution, right? Because it's easy to be enamored with all the AI tools and they can do anything really, right? So
a lot of the time people see AI and they just go to, well, it's efficiency. It's quicker and easier. What we're trying to say is it can give us a bit above that. You would need an army of recruiters to try and assess 250,000 behaviors and values and morals. We can do that with AI. It's not about effectiveness, it's about quality. And more important than that, I should stress this, it's about inclusion. Everybody gets the same experience, the same report, the same opportunity, and we're confident with the right tool, it's a game changer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What are some of the and any kind of metrics or any kind of results you can share right now?
So I think it's a bit early at the minute to talk about turnover. We'll need to look at that after 12 months rather than kind of 4 or 5 months. But what we can look at is kind of scale and experience. So I think of the, I think so far we've done 150,000 assessments and we have a completion rate of 85%, which is way above what we've seen previously. Better, we're getting no dropout. I think we've got a candidate satisfaction score, as I've shared earlier, of 9 out of 10, which is incredibly high in this space. What I find interesting actually is we also allow candidates the opportunity to give us some feedback and a bit of an optional comments box, which normally if you're applying for a job, you walk straight past. 81% of people are leaving us comments. The feedback on the process been through, which I think is staggeringly high. It's not part of the assessment. It's not part of the process to help them get a job. It's a little optional text box, which normally you walk straight past. But we're seeing them so engaged in the tool, enjoying the experience. They want to share their feelings, and most of the time it is super positive about how simple it is, how personable it is, and they've always articulated it as it's like talking to a friend because it's a chat-based two-way conversation. So it's brilliant. And I should share it to you while I remember the data I mentioned about the candidate report and giving them something back. And again, I link this to consumers. We've got to take them on the right process to ensure they maintain, their loyalty to Costa. I think we saw that 94% of people found this either helpful or very helpful, which, I mean, you almost, you're smidge below 100% there, which I think is
Wow. Yeah, those are phenomenal results. And if you think about, compare it to the old school process, I would imagine it would be much, much lower, right?
I think the only addition I'll put on that is, and we should always remember the diversity lens. So the candidate experience lens we know is working, but what about the diversity lens? And we're starting to look at some of the metrics of change. So we haven't done the deep dives yet into things like ethnicity and disability, but we did look at age and gender, which are two really important things for us in stores. And we looked at the end-to-end process from who applies for a role, who is interviewed, who is offered, who starts. And with age, and we looked at the Gen Z bracket and the slightly older bracket, and it was negligible change throughout the process. The deep dive we did actually was on gender. Obviously, trying to get gender equality is important to everyone in a minute. And the end-to-end process, we saw a 0.4 variance, which in data terms means there was no variance.
Fantastic. Wow. Did you also cut the hiring time or the time to fill? I'd imagine that gets faster too. Or is it too early to ask?
We haven't looked at that specifically. I think what we're more interested in is cutting the time taken to take an assessment. So I looked at how long it takes to do a situational judgment test. And it was about 20 minutes, which it's too long. This takes between 5 and 10, and most people sit somewhere in the middle. So the candidate experience, it's super simple, super quick for them. And then we're straight into the inbox for how we stack rank a shortlist. So it's efficient, sure.
So, what a great success. Where are you taking this next? What are your next steps?
I think what because of what we've seen, especially on candidate experience, we want to see what the scale is. So if I talk about the baristas in the UK, that's a portion of our business. We have global stores where we can start to think, where could AI or Sapia play a role? In addition to that, here in support center or head office, if you will, we've not even scratched the surface yet with assessments and AI and innovation. So I think that the quick answer to your question is scale. Where can we take it next? We have opportunities. We have many, many proof points. I think once we get into the 12-month review and tick off all the business case, we'll start to look at how we go bigger and better with it.
What's one piece of advice that you would have for somebody who is considering this journey?
Be brave, because I think you can look at AI and you can look at all the reasons not to do it because you worry about jobs and legislations and this and this. And sometimes you've got to be brave as a leader. Take a step forward and embrace the unknown. This was the first time we had brought AI into the talent space. So it was on my shoulders whether it went right or wrong, and it could have gone both ways. But, and I dwell on the point I made earlier, patience. You won't know everything at the start. You won't know everything through the process. You will by the end. But be patient in how quick you try and do this, and just go about it the right way and bring the right people on the journey with you.
Wow. Well, congratulations, David. I mean, this has been, of course, a brave endeavor, but also congrats to the patience that you had and to getting all these results in. So really appreciate your time. It was also a pleasure talking with you, David. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. Bye for now.
And that's a wrap for our conversation with David Hughes, the Global Talent Director for Costa Coffee. Costa Coffee hires about 5,000 frontline staff annually from 250,000 applicants. David discussed the challenges and strategies in frontline hiring, emphasizing the importance of hiring relevant talent that is culturally aligned. David shares his insights on leveraging AI to streamline the recruiting process, reduce bias, enhance the candidate experience, and ensure a good cultural fit. His advice is to focus AI transformation not just on technology, but on patience and stakeholder alignment, purposefully addressing specific business needs. Thanks for tuning into the What Works podcast. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what works in your world.